Can you hear me again? I think my network just got out there.
I could hear you.
Okay, perfect.
Yep, you're good. Cool. Well, I hope this works all right. I just got a new phone, guys, so I apologize. My earbuds don't want to connect to it, so we'll figure it out for the next one. So if I sound good, that's awesome. If I don't sound good, blame technology. I always blame technology. But it's about 2 o'clock, so I think we're going to kick things off. I want to thank everyone for joining. Happy New Year, everybody. Big, exciting New Year. Lots of fun things planned at Akash and at Coldstack, and that's what we're here to talk about today. So my name is Adam Wozni. I head up Community at Akash, and I'll also be your host for today's conversation. So we're going to be talking about a recent partnership announcement, actually yesterday's partnership announcement between Akash and Coldstack. Our guests for today's conversation are Eric Zietlow, Director of Developer Relations at Akash, a mainstay if you guys have joined our Twitter Spaces before. Eric always has some great insight. And our special guest is Justin Silver, Head of Communications at Coldstack. If you guys have questions throughout today's event, feel free to make a speaking request, and I'll do my best to get you involved in the conversation. We do want to make this pretty free-flowing, so anytime you have a question, just go ahead and raise your hand, and as soon as I can get to you, I will include you in on the conversation. One other quick note is definitely follow Coldstack and Akash on Twitter, Telegram, Discord, Discourse, all the different crypto channels that you guys have come to know and love. Before we get into today's conversation, though, I want to introduce our guests. So for many of you who joined our Twitter Spaces before, he is a mainstay, he's a pro, lots of great insights. First up here is Eric Zietlow, Zietlow. I always screw up your last name, Eric. Sorry about that.
You actually got it right the first time.
I know. And then, of course, the second time I screwed it up. Classic Adam. You guys are probably used to hearing that as well on these Twitter Spaces events. But yeah, Eric, go ahead and introduce yourself to the folks listening in who may not know you.
Yeah, so I'm basically a crypto Web3 enthusiast. I actually got my start in, I would say, crypto for real when I got hired at Akash. I came from the Web2 world, a lot of the legacy technologies that are just really kind of starting to show their age and show the cracks that lie within them. And I was introduced to Web3, and it was really, it was inspiring. It was really incredible. So I had a lot of job offers at the time that Akash approached me, and it was really a no-brainer. It was kind of doing something I thought was really building the future and securing the future for the next generation. So really a no-brainer when it came to an opportunity to work in the Web3 world.
Very cool. Thanks a lot, Eric. Yeah, I've always loved hearing your story. So if you're ever at an in-person event or you join some of these Twitter Spaces or even some of our live streams, definitely ask Eric about his kind of crypto journey. It's always interesting to hear that. So next up, we have Justin. I got to know Justin through prepping for this event and through a couple other things that we're working on. Very cool guy. Hopefully you've made it back, from my understanding. Everyone's been having holiday travel issues. And I know Justin was not one of the folks that luckily didn't have holiday issue travels. So I hope that you're back and you're back at wherever your home base is. But Justin, for the folks listening in, I was hoping you could kind of introduce yourself and kind of some of the things you're working on over at Coldstack.
Of course, yeah. No, I actually managed to finally get in around like 3 a.m. last night. I think everything ended up getting sorted out and everything. So yeah, it was a lot of fun with the holiday travel and everything. Yeah. But yeah, very happy to be here. Glad to make it and everything. Like Adam said, I'm Justin Silver. I do the head of communications over at Coldstack. I had initially gotten into blockchain from like an advocacy and legal perspective with more of a Web2 business consultancy experience. And I had really been doing a little bit of research in terms of like blockchain's uses for, public benefit, government uses. And that's how I ended up going down the decentralized storage Web3 rabbit hole and everything. And that's eventually how I ended up coming to the Coldstack project. Just about a year ago now, I'd say I've been working for Coldstack, and it's been an excellent journey being able to like Eric was saying, seeing how Web3 can really improve upon the legacy systems of Web2, which we see just kind of having issues almost every other day at this point.
Very cool. And one question, so I want to get right into some of the questions, because I think there's a bunch of audience questions that we're going to have here. And something that actually I didn't talk about when we did this run through with Justin and Eric was the name Coldstack. So kind of getting into what is Coldstack, A, and where did the name Coldstack come from?
Yeah, actually. Well, Coldstack is a decentralized cloud aggregator. Basically, what we look to do is we look to provide an easy-to-access portal to any decentralized storage network like Filecoin, Arweave, Sia, Crust, Storage. And we really want to try to make it so that anyone, regardless of their experience with Web3, is able to access the security and the savings of decentralized storage. We even have like Amazon S3 compatibility to try to make some inroads to those with less Web3 experience and everything. But the name Coldstack actually comes from the specialization with cold data. Probably the most important data that we store is cold data, which is essentially just storage or data that needs to be stored for an incredibly long time or for forever. Basically like essential business information, price curves and stuff like that. And really being able to provide the best storage prices and the most efficient storage for this cold storage is really where we see a lot of the growth opportunity with decentralized storage, just because of the security and immutability that it offers.
Very cool. I think I've heard the term cold data before, but this is the first time I feel like I understand it now. So thank you for that. And I think most of the folks in the call know what Akash is, but there might be some new Coldstack folks that maybe don't have a clear understanding. So I was hoping, Eric, you could maybe give a quick high level on what Akash is and kind of what we're up to.
Absolutely. So simply put, Akash is just a marketplace for people to sell compute that they have to people who need it. So if you think of AWS or GCP or any of the big cloud giants, they offer storage services, they offer compute services, they offer a whole range of different things. Coldstack does the storage, we do the compute. So you store your data with them, we process it, we you actually serve and run the web page. So it's kind of a perfect peanut butter and jelly kind of partnership here, because we're together able to take on some really, really huge offerings that historically have been dominated by basically 4 major companies.
Very cool. Yeah, it's funny. I always feel like whenever I hear anyone explain Akash, I'm always learning a little bit something new. I've been here 9 months, and there's always something new to learn in this space, right? That's just crypto in a nutshell, right, guys? I want to thank everyone for joining. What's that?
Oh yeah, totally agree. Totally agree.
Yeah, maybe we'll get into that later. Maybe some of the audience questions will have, or maybe what are some of the interesting crypto projects you guys are kind of tracking, but we'll get into that later. Let's stick to the partnership for now. So maybe going back to Justin, when Akash kind of presented what we were and what we were doing, what kind of got you excited about the potential partnership opportunity between Akash and Coldstack? Like, why do you think it makes sense for Coldstack to partner with Akash and vice versa?
Well, like Eric was saying, it's a real peanut butter and jelly partnership here and everything. As we're looking to store such massive amounts of data, the computing quality is going to be an essential part of that in terms of retrieval speeds, the sustainability of the network. A node network is only as strong as it's as decentralized as it is. If it's a smaller node network, it's just not going to have that same security that people come to expect with decentralized storage and computation and everything. So utilizing Akash is really one of the best ways that we can scale our file nodes in particular. Really just being able to, accommodate bulk data and being able to, really be able to provide that all in a orderly fashion. It just makes so much sense, to go with Akash. You guys are incredibly easy to work with. Accessing technical assistance is incredibly easy. So it just made a whole lot of sense for us to go with you guys for that.
Very cool. Thank you. And yeah, same question to Eric. What were your thoughts when you heard we were partnering with Coldstack?
Yeah, I mean, it really is kind of cool because we're helping on both ends, right? We're like Justin just said, we can help on the compute and the actual running of the Coldstack network and all the things that go on there, but we can also be on the consumer side. So people can utilize Coldstack storage, for example, if they wanted to go to use Skynet, they can use Coldstack to go enable that, and then use it together with our compute in their application. So we're kind of it's a win-win where we help coming and we help going as well.
Love the coming and going analogy. That's great. I want to go back to something Justin mentioned earlier. What exactly, I'm going to put on my I know nothing about crypto hat here for a second. And I think a lot of people on the call probably know this, but for folks like me that don't, could you explain what file nodes exactly do for Coldstack and like why they are important?
Yeah, file nodes make up about like a third of our ecosystem. They provide all the file upload and download services for a user. So basically what they do is they record the metadata of someone's individual files, and then they replicate the user's metadata for eventual retrieval. What they do is they interact with our billing nodes to bill customers for the data, and our gateway nodes, which are what's actually used to send out the data to its storage destination, like Filecoin or Arweave. So basically what these file nodes do is not only are they recording data, they're also interacting on the higher computational level with our other nodes to actually determine, where the best location for this data is. Different kinds of data like cold data, hot data, it needs to be stored differently. It can have highly variable prices, especially in, peer-to-peer decentralized markets and everything. So having our file nodes be able to, operate at, a nice, efficient level, really adds a lot to our platform.
So I want to kind of quickly talk about what you mentioned price, and whenever I hear price, I'm always like, oh yeah, that's an interesting thing. I think a lot of folks on the call probably want to know a little bit more about. So besides the inherent value of decentralized networks talking to each other and having a full stack decentralized application that you can run on Akash, on Coldstack, and others, what is the kind of the value prop like what is the cost like? How do you keep costs down? Is it something you're thinking about actively, or kind of where's your stance on kind of on keeping costs down and kind of the value of what Coldstack is offering?
Yeah, exactly. In terms of keeping the costs down, it really just boils down to determining which storage destination is going to be best for one's data. Like for example, Arweave is, one of the leaders in terms of permanent storage. So having them as a cold storage destination in certain situations is ideal, whereas for other data, it might not be. So being able to really, pick and choose between the different decentralized networks, being able to shop around for the best price, really does make it a lot easier to guarantee that you're getting the lowest price. Like for example, if you go with just, only Filecoin or only storage, you may be missing out on certain storage arbitrage opportunities, essentially, where the actual price of storing data with one of these services changes based off of demand, system load, even a geographic location. So there's a ton of different variables that go into actually determining the raw price of storage. So having our actual platform and our file node infrastructure being able to help determine that, it really helps to drive down costs and really adds up over time.
Right, excellent. I was just kind of perusing through some of our attendees here, and I see a lot of familiar faces, and I'm assuming a lot of these guys are going to have some questions. So as a reminder for everyone listening in, first off, thanks for joining. But if you do have questions for Eric or Justin, feel free to make a speaker request, and I will do my best to get to you as soon as I get through a couple more questions that I have. So feel free to jump in anytime, and I'll get to you guys as soon as I can. I want to get to like some use case examples and potential future use case examples of kind of the partnership between Akash and Coldstack. And I'm going to go first to Eric. So what are some kind of exciting examples of use cases you've seen, and maybe some future ones you'd like to see be built out?
Yeah, so I mean, right off the bat, there's kind of a low-hanging fruit one that's always top of mind for me, which is the functionality of an S3 bucket or that sort of storage doesn't exist on the Akash network right now, and it's because we're not storage providers. Like I said earlier, we're providing compute. So the ability to go to some place like Coldstack and get an S3 compatible endpoint that stores your data, handles it all basically for you, kind of the auto magical thing, right? And just be able to interact with it like you'd interact with a traditional AWS S3 bucket is tremendously powerful. Everything from file hosting, image hosting, like the applications are pretty much limitless, and it's an incredibly powerful tool that Akash does not just natively offer. So again, perfect marriage between two technologies.
So I won't dock Gryffindor 10 points for using the word auto magical, but I don't think I've ever heard you say that word, auto magical. Where does that come from?
I have no clue. Just seemed to fit given what I was talking about.
Someone turn that into an NFT and put Eric's face on it. I will give you, I'll give you a couple AKT. This is just Adam talking, not Akash. This is Adam talking. So Eric's like, oh man, I'm gonna live on the blockchain forever as auto magical guy. So same question to you, Justin. Kind of what excites you? What are some use cases that you're looking forward to seeing being built out as a part of this partnership?
Well, yeah, I mean, like I was saying, in terms of what we're currently utilizing Akash with, the first thing that we did was we deployed a node to access Skynet, and we're already seeing improvements in terms of file retrieval and sustainability through that. So really being able to actually scale our node infrastructure in a way that's able to accommodate, not just, individual bits of price data, but the entire bulks of data for decentralized exchanges, centralized exchange, NFT marketplaces, and, going into actual metaverses and everything. Like Eric was saying, there's just such a plethora of data that needs to be stored, from multimedia files to the actual websites that these platforms run on and everything. So it really just, opens up a lot of opportunity for us to, actually accommodate the data and actually be able to provide the level of service that we're looking for.
Right, very cool. All right, so I got a couple more questions, and then I do want to open it up to our audience members. So now is the time to start making speaker requests. If you have questions for Eric or Justin about anything Akash or Coldstack related, or even the greater crypto ecosystem, I feel like these guys have a lot of knowledge and they're willing to share it. So now's a great opportunity. So feel free to make speaker requests, and I will get to you as soon as I wrap up my final questions here. So going back to Coldstack, it's the new year, and I'm going to be going towards you as well, Eric. It's the new year. What are some big kind of exciting things that you guys have on the roadmap over at Coldstack that people should be looking forward to?
Well, probably the biggest thing right now is our public beta. Basically what that is that anyone can come to our platform and begin storing data with us essentially at any point. As this, rolls out, this is essentially where we're going to be onboarding actual customers. Previous to this, we hadn't really been onboarding any, like actual projects to store data for, like actual, NFT marketplaces or exchanges. So this is actually the point where we're actually going to be going out and, actually trying to acquire users and everything. So it's essentially the stage right before the full launch of the platform in the alpha. We're going to be making appeals to, projects within DeFi and beyond with, strong focuses on, what's actually in demand and everything. So being able to really make those inroads and actually appeal to people, it actually, really provides the overall use case for, the project and the token itself. So it's definitely, if people are interested in joining the project or anything, it's definitely the time to do that. We've also been really looking to try to make access to the platform as easy as possible. For the longest time, our token was just an Ethereum only token. We very recently went out to a BSC launch so that we could make it easier for people to actually acquire, the token, which is, needed to store data on our platform and everything. And as it's an essential part of the ecosystem and everything, we're looking to try to launch on different chains as well as, explore centralized exchange listings as well. We had previously only been on decentralized exchanges, but, as we need to actually provide ways for people to buy our token and everything in order to actually use it in the beta and the alpha, we've been looking to really expand access to the platform. So that's the main focus of our roadmap right now. We actually have accomplished most of the integrations that we've been set out to do. We currently have Filecoin, SIA, Arweave, Crust, Lambda. and storage all integrated and everything. So we do have a good variety of storages for people to access through us already. So we've got a lot of exciting things going on this year, definitely.
Very cool. Yeah, that's whenever I look at any project's crypto roadmap, I'm like, wow, how are you guys going to get this all done? And it always seems to work out. So I'm excited to see what comes out of Coldstack the rest of this year. And then over to Eric. I know Greg, when we had a Twitter Spaces, I believe it was last week or maybe towards the end of December, kind of a end of year product update, which you can check out, I believe, on YouTube. We talked about, what are some of the things that we're building out here at Akash for 2022, but just for folks who might have missed that, I wanted to see if you could cover maybe a couple talking points or a couple bullets on what people can look forward to at Akash this year.
Yeah, so I'm going to cover a couple things from Akash kind of core team, and then maybe a community project as well that's really, really awesome. So first up, we got a testnet coming up. Its details are still kind of being hashed out and finalized, but it will be soon. It will be incentivized. We will have all sorts of really cool features as a part of it. Some of them are really, really big features that bring us much more into parity with the offerings of traditional providers and close that gap between the function they can provide and the function we can provide. So really cool stuff there. Another feature I'm really looking forward to, probably more than almost any other feature this year, is GPU support is absolutely something we are chasing after, we are targeting. It's going to open up gaming workloads, AI/ML workloads. I mean, the sheer number of applications that get unlocked, even certain mining workloads that we can't necessarily do well today, will suddenly become a mainstay, hopefully, of our clientele. So really, really cool stuff there. Community project I want to highlight is actually Akashalytics and some of the amazing advancements that are going on there. Max is actually, I see Max is in chat or in the Twitter space right here. Main developer on Akashalytics. They've done amazing work making deploy tools that make it seamless to actually launch things on Akash. And I've seen some of the stuff that they're looking to expand on and some of the stuff they're looking to build out in the upcoming weeks and months. And it's really, really cool. Definitely keep eyes on that project. There's going to be, I think, some pretty incredible things coming out of that particular house. So,
yeah, mad shout out to the community, especially Max. Guy's a killer, man. Watch out for him. Cool. So we do have somebody that wanted to ask a question. Let me add Coldstack back here. All right, you're back in. So Inder, I don't know if I'm pronouncing your Twitter name correct. Feel free to introduce yourself. You can unmute your mic and ask your question for Justin and Eric.
That was perfect. You pronounced it really well.
Awesome. I've been practicing.
Thank you for the opportunity. Yeah, I am a recent entrant into the entire Web3 crypto space. Traditionally from a TradFi background, more towards real estate. But yeah, the more I read about Web3 and the things that are happening, I'm just blown away by the possibility for a better future. So my question was, we're still in early stages of developing decentralized infrastructure, and you guys are doing a phenomenal job. My question was more related to adoption. Could you just allude to what adoption would look like, firstly for smaller apps, and then with an eventual goal of enterprise adoption, whatever the future companies may look like. But what's the roadmap like, and can you just talk about it a little bit? I'm interested. Thank you.
Yeah. So I take this from an Akash standpoint, and then I'll hand it off. In the Akash space, the way we see it is crypto projects are kind of our first target, and the reason for that is the Web 2 world tends to be very hostile towards crypto and Web 3 and all of the things. We're literally threatening their business. We're threatening their livelihood, so it's understandable. So we want to basically provide a place for the Web 3 ecosystem to thrive before we go after, say, enterprises or anything like that. Additionally, this allows us time to get a lot of those features that enterprises are looking for that they would actually need to migrate. Things like persistent storage, which is one of the features we have. It's not replacing Coldstack by any means. It would be a supplementary technology. There are things that enterprises look for and actually vet products against, And those are things we're building out right now. So it buys us time to get where we need to go, but it also enables the wider Web3 ecosystem to grow big, healthy, and not have to submit to people who, frankly, are on the other side of the war from us.
Cool. And then, yeah, maybe back to Justin, kind of same question. I'm guessing Ender kind of wanted to hear from you guys as well.
Yep.
Cool. It looks like so I think he jumped off. I don't know, he might have had a connection. Oh, he's requesting. Let me get him back in here. And let's try again. All right. Oh, cool.
For some reason, but
Twitter Spaces has been acting weird, so I don't blame you guys.
perfect.
So.
There you go. Exactly. But yeah, it's a great question. You know, like Eric was saying, probably the biggest obstacle for either Akash or Coldstack is being able to make those appeals to legacy Web 2 systems simply because of the hostility and skepticism a lot of people have regarding, crypto, blockchain, DeFi, and everything. So really providing that easy access and really, creating like a hand-holding experience is really what we see as, a critical part of mass adoption. That's one of the bigger reasons why Coldstack really emphasizes our Amazon S3 compatibility, because that's where a lot of these legacy systems, or how a lot of these legacy systems are currently storing their data. So being able to, migrate one's, entire data load over to our system, just, through a couple simple clicks because of that compatibility, we really see stuff like that as being, one of the bigger drivers of mass adoption, is simply making it as easy as possible. And the other biggest driver for adoption is simply cost. That's one of the other reasons why we really emphasize cost. I think a lot of people in this Twitter space know why, decentralization is, good from a philosophical standpoint. But businesses are obviously more concerned with their bottom line and everything. So we really do see the ability to, unite the different decentralized storages and, being able to provide that easy portal to all of them as something that's really going to help drive the mass adoption. Whereas, as opposed to having a business that, sees all these different decentralized storage, they don't know how to necessarily access it right away, and they don't know which one to really go with. So really being able to make it so that they can migrate their data easily, make it so that the data itself is stored in a relatively headache-free process, is really where we see, what mass adoption is going to really look like, is really being able to, cater to those that are, a little bit more skeptical of what we do.
Yeah.
Can I ask a follow-up question, if that's all right?
Yeah, sure. Go for it.
I know it's difficult to predict, what the future, just from a consumer-facing applications would look like. But I mean, if you had to kind of, come up with some names in today's Web 2 legacy systems, who might, the systems of tomorrow that look like today, that would adopt, uh, this decentralized infrastructure layer, what would it look like? Like some names, like a Facebook of tomorrow, or like a Twitter of tomorrow.
Well,
I don't know if you got the question.
yeah, no, that's really the beauty of decentralized storage, is quite literally any system that is looking to store data, be it, a Web 2 or a Web 3, can benefit from our system. Like for example, in, traditional finance, groups like Western Union can benefit. Any sort of image hosting site or content hosting site, like any sort of YouTube or YouTube clones, would be able to benefit greatly from the services that we provide. The real interesting thing about decentralization is that it does open up a lot of opportunities for more upstart businesses or alternatives to these traditional giants like YouTube and stuff like that, to really sort of take flight also. So like you were saying, it's really tough to predict the future in terms of, traditional businesses that could benefit from decentralized storage, Facebook, Western Union, groups like that. But I really think that one of the core things with decentralization is that it's going to be providing an alternative to a lot of these bigger names that we're familiar with, and really allow for, groups that are a little bit more committed to, helping the customer essentially, or the consumer, to really start taking rise. I mean, it's not like it's any secret that people have, a lot of flack with YouTube or even these, traditional legacy payment systems even. So that's really where it's like you said, it's really tough to predict the future in that respect. But it's essentially going to be one of those situations where I see a lot of these older systems essentially either adapting or giving away market share to those that are able to adapt.
Yeah, I'll kind of tail onto that as well. I think really it levels the playing field. The historical Web 2 architecture really favors certain businesses and certain business models, whereas Web 3 is really about owning your own future and not being confined to a set of norms that maybe are in direct conflict with what you're trying to accomplish. So I'm a really, really big fan of Web3 for that reason alone. There's just the ability to know that innovation and ideas are basically protected and safe and allowed to happen as a result of Web3. That's really exciting to me. But yeah, I agree with everything Justin just said there.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Inder. And where are you calling in from, by the way?
I live in Vancouver.
Oh, very cool. Nice to know we have some Akash folks up in Vancouver. Let's go Canucks.
Cheers.
Cool. Thank you so much. And we have another person. So let me add you here. Cool. We have someone, Walkie Boy, which is a dope name, if I might say so myself. Thank you so much, Walkie Boy, for jumping on the call today. Feel free to ask your question for Justin and Eric.
Hey, my question was about the use case of the Coldstack token, and also if you can comment on the fully diluted valuation of Coldstack.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that again? It kicked me again.
Oh, yeah. My question was the use case of the Coldstack token, and also if you can comment on the fully diluted valuation of Coldstack.
Not sure. Hey, Justin, we can't hear you. Can anyone else hear Justin?
No, I'm not coming through.
Yeah, Twitter Spaces is having a moment.
Okay. Well, I can kind of ask the same question for the Akash token as a use case of the token.
Yeah, I mean, I'll answer part of it. I'll answer what I can. Obviously, I'm not going to do any speculation or anything like that. But the token's utility really comes down to compute on the network. Its only function is to transact for compute and to be backed essentially by the value of compute. So from that perspective, I really think that the model of kind of the utility token is very healthy when it comes to a lot of different technology systems. Where obviously being able to onboard from fiat easily has its own advantages, but you're giving up a lot by doing that. Being a token holder on something like Akash, the only thing you need to deploy is an Akash wallet. You don't need a credit card. You don't need any of those typical financial institutions. So even third world countries or countries with developing financial infrastructure can go and deploy. If someone lives there, they can go and deploy on Akash, even though they don't have access to a credit card. And I think that's where the power of a token really starts to shine. From the kind of tokenomics standpoint, I'm going to shy away from that just because I'm probably not the right person to answer those questions, and I'm definitely not going to speculate. But yeah, I'll just throw that out there. Does that answer at least part of your question?
Yeah, that's awesome. It's kind of backed by compute. And you said that you're also getting into GPU workload, so it might even be backed by GPU power in the future.
I mean, fundamentally, yeah, you'll transact a token for the AKT token for GPU power on some level. That's always going to be the case. So you're not you're not paying $1 unless you're going through some intermediary who's doing that conversion for you. AKT is always going to be the thing that goes into the till at the end of the day for compute power.
Perfect. Thank you.
Cool. And it looks like Justin's back. Hey, Justin,
Yep.
Can you test out your mic? Oh, there we go.
There we go. Perfect.
So I'm not sure if you heard Walkie's question. I think it was around sorry, maybe you want to ask the question one more time, Walkie?
Sure. It was just about the use case of the Coldstack token and the fully diluted valuation of the project.
Exactly, yeah. So the use case of our token is just quite literally paying for storage on our platform. It's the most critical part of the actual infrastructure itself. People need CLS in their wallet in order to access our storage. It automatically bills CLS through the wallet. So the majority of our infrastructure is based off of payment via CLS. And even as we look to, create fiat on-ramps for legacy systems, we're still looking to have it something that interacts with the CLS token itself. In terms of the supply, we've actually been really trying to work out a way to avoid some of the price volatility spikes that we've been seeing with, projects like Filecoin. I'm not sure if you remember, but earlier in the year, there was like this whole big thing with Filecoin miners where there were certain supply shocks, which led to it, going from essentially like $30 to 150 all the way up to, I think it hit like a peak of around 200, 250 or something like that. Which is, nice for Filecoin holders and everything, but for the actual sustainability of the ecosystem, it wasn't really too great for people that were actually looking to store files with Filecoin. So that's one of the more critical parts of what we have. We actually have a good amount of tokens in our reserve and treasury that aren't necessarily circulating right now, simply because we want to be able to, especially as the platform is launching, be able to mitigate any sort of price volatility spikes that would cause any sort of issues or errors in terms of the actual billing of the CLS tokens itself. We also have a decent amount of tokens that are in reserve for rewards for node operators as well, in order to actually incentivize participation in the system and everything. So the Coldstack token is, really just mainly for, paying for storage on the platform, as well as being able to actually participate in, some of the more infrastructural aspects of the platform. And eventually we do plan to move over to more of a DAO governance structure where CLS is actually used for voting as well. So being able to give people a voice in the platform, the actual oversight of the platform, being able to get into like node oversight, those are the main use cases for CLS there.
Got it. Thank you.
Answer your question, Walkie Boy. I love that name, by the way. I'm stuck on
Thank
it.
you. Yeah, that's awesome. Used for DAO in the future, paid to node operators, and use it for CLS services.
Cool. And then real quick, Walkie, where are you calling in from?
I'm in Japan.
Oh, we got Japan, Vancouver. Exciting. Well, it's got to be really early there. Is that right?
7:30 a.m. Yeah.
Oh, that's not too early. Early for me, though. I get up at like 10 a.m. every day, but don't tell Eric that. He'll get mad at me. I work with him.
Yeah. Right. All right. Well,
thanks for calling, Walkie Boy. We'll see you at the next one. Cool. And we got one more person that wanted had a question here. Let me add you quick. So we have the Black LGB. Feel free to introduce yourself and ask your question for Eric and Justin.
Hey, yeah, hi everyone, and thank you for letting me speak. I'm Brandon, calling from sunny Los Angeles. It's not 7 a.m. here, but I think it's like 2 in the afternoon. But yeah, my question was, I got into Akash by Altcoin Psycho on Twitter, but ever since I've just really, I guess I want to say, yeah, fell in love. I'm really passionate about, I guess, the vision and what y'all all have created and why. I think in a time, talked about this earlier, where we're not really happy with some of the other centralized companies, what you all are doing is awesome. Anyways, my point being, my question is there any way period that we can get involved? I'm a normal citizen. I'm not a coder or programmer by any means. I'm in project management or agile, if you know that. But is there any way that people that are less tech savvy can get involved and help the network grow?
So I can even jump in on this one, and feel free, Justin and Eric, if you guys kind of have some community programs. So as I mentioned at the beginning of the call, I lead community at Akash. I'm also based in LA, by the way. So maybe you and I should connect after this. There's a lot of crypto things that happen here in LA that I'm familiar with. I have a lot of crypto friends, and there's all sorts of events that are happening in the space here in LA. But one thing that you should be aware of, or could be aware of, or maybe you're interested in joining, is a program that we launched maybe, I don't know, like towards the end of the summer last year, called the Akash Insiders Program. And basically the Akash Insiders Program is kind of folks who are either, it runs the gamut from non-technical all the way up to highly technical, that understand Akash, are passionate about what we're doing, passionate about dCloud, and they're essentially doing a couple things. One is hosting events in person or online. They are content creators, people who are creating, deployment guides, or talking about tokenomics, IBC, where we just actually put out a bounty for a multi-cloud blog post. And then the last thing is moderators. So folks that are involved in our Discord, our Telegram, different channels, and responding to questions, getting involved in the community, engaging with one another, and kind of keeping up the good vibes that Akash has kind of been putting out there for a while now. So if you are interested in joining that program, all you have to do is just go to akash.network, check out the community tab, and you'll see the Insiders application form. Also, if you are involved in our Discord or Telegram channels, sometimes I will reach out to you if it seems like you're pretty engaged. But there's a lot of cool things that are involved in that program. So AKT giveaways, swag, in-person events, who knows, someday we want to do an in-person Akash Insiders Summit where people can get to meet people face-to-face, and also, go to some cool sports game or a bar or something fun after that, some kind of celebration event. So stay tuned for that. But if you are interested, all you have to do is just go to akash.network, click on the community tab, and check out the Akash Insiders information there. So that's on the Akash side. I think Eric, it sounds like I just got a message from Eric. He was getting booted off a lot, so he might not be joining. So I'll just kind of cover that stuff on the community side. One other quick thing is we do have a what's called a community awards board, the CAB, and that's basically a place where projects that want funding from Akash to get going can actually put in requests for funding, and then community members, not just Akash, actually vote on which projects can get funding, how much funding, all that sort of information. There is some information that we have, I believe, on YouTube, if not now, but soon, that will have more information on that process and what that looks like. But that's another kind of community effort that you can do to kind of get involved in. So that's it on the Akash side. Any kind of community efforts over at Coldstack, Justin?
Yeah, exactly. Like we were saying, we've been trying to incentivize people to, help us out in terms of, the beta testing and actually moving into the public beta and everything. Basically utilizing CLS tokens to, reward those who are actually storing files with our system and everything. Even though decentralized storage, it sounds scary and everything, we've really tried to make it, just as easy as just, simply clicking upload and download for our platform and everything. So we do try to make everything nice and easy to access, even for people who aren't very technically savvy. So there are a couple of ways to, earn CLS tokens through that as well. In addition to that, we do have referral programs going, whereas if you are involved in a project's community or a business and you're interested in storing data with Coldstack, we can obviously, incentivize with certain CLS or fiat programs as well. In addition to that, we also started an NFT grant storage program for artists and projects that are looking to store NFTs with Coldstack as well. We currently have that ongoing. We're planning to announce a couple of our first winners for that as well and open up the next round as well. So that's definitely something to look out for as well. And yeah, it really just boils down to incentivizing the use of the network and everything. We really want to try to make sure that we're building a nice community of, people who are very interested in the project and everything. So really being able to utilize CLS as a way to incentivize people to actually store with us, we really feel it helps build us out in terms of, actually being able to prepare for, full alpha.
Very cool. I didn't know all that. That's exciting. We should definitely talk after this, Justin, and see how we can cross-pollinate communities. A rising tide floats all boats, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. The Black LGB, does that answer your question for you?
Yeah, of course. And thank you so much, everyone, for answering. Sorry if that was already asked before. And And yes, I would love to connect. That's awesome that you live in LA as well. So yeah,
Cool.
let me know.
I'll DM you on my my personal account and we can kind of chat.
Awesome. Thank you guys.
Cool. All right. Now let's see here. Any final questions? We have a few minutes left, but if not, we can wrap up early. So now is your time to feel free to make a speaker request. I will add you and we can ask your question for Justin and Eric. Okay. Going once, going twice, and sold. That's it. So Eric and Justin, any final thoughts before we kind of wrap things up here?
I think I'm sorry, I kind of fell out at the end there. Got kicked off Twitter, but I think what you said about rising tide floats all boats goes really. It applies well to the Web3 ecosystem. You know, this isn't a group of competitors all vying for technology position. What we really are is a group of companies who's trying to create something great for the future. And I think as long as we own that and move forward with that, it's going to be very hard to lose.
Oh yeah, I fully agree. You know, it's just great. I think probably one of the most encouraging things about this sector is just how, you know, willing and happy different projects are to work with each other in order to advance the whole Web3 sector and everything. You know, it's just not something you see in the traditional business sector. And it really goes to show, you know, the inherent benefits and, you know, I would almost say in superiority of a decentralized system, both from a technical level as well as you know, on a personal business to business level. You know, I feel as though it's just so much easier to expand and grow. And like we were saying before, you know, decentralization really.
Nope. Looks like we might have lost him. Can you guys hear Justin? Oh, looks like we're losing people left and right.
Here, kind of, I think.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, sorry. It looks like he's back in. Twitter Spaces is having issues today. I don't know what's going on. Sorry about that, Justin. Oh, looks like he's still a listener. I think I think with that, that's a sign, that's an omen that we might wrap things up before all of our cell phones or our desktop computers explode listening to this Twitter Spaces event. I want to thank everyone for joining today. For those of you that have additional questions for Justin or Eric, feel free to just tag Akash or Coldstack on Twitter, and we'll do our best to respond to those questions there. I want to thank everyone for joining. This is the first event that we've done in the new year, only 6 days in, so that's a good sign for many more in-person and online events that we're going to be having here at Akash. If you do have questions or you want to follow what's going on, go and follow us on Discord, on Twitter, on Telegram, and our Discourse channel, which is kind of like our Stack Overflow. Again, I want to thank everyone for joining. Thank you, Justin. I know we can't get you back in. I think Twitter's acting weird. But I know you would say thank you for having me, Adam. I'll speak on your behalf. And to Eric, thank you for joining as well. For now, I think that's about it. So thanks again for joining, everybody, and we'll see you at the next one.
Awesome. Thanks for hosting, Adam.
Thanks, Eric. See you guys.